Welcome back to Extra Shot, the weekly pod spilling the funniest stories in sport. On the pod today, Alan Shearer's trapped in hell, Quincy Promes is on the run, and Ben White's off to fight the Taliban. My name is Jack Rivlin. I'm joined by Mr. George Cooper.
Hello, Jack.
Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Thanks for having me back on.
You seen any of the Paralympics?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I've been enjoying it, to be honest. I saw that Paralympic archer from India, the 17-year-old
I was going to mention
Sheetal Devi, who kind of went viral this week. Just utterly mind-blowing. Archery, obviously, using only her feet and her chin. Got a perfect bullseye. I'm like talking Robin Hood, perfect bullseye.
So she's 17? I think she only picked up a bow and arrow 2 years ago or something.
It's mad. It's just, like, inspirational isn't even the word, is it? It's
Yeah.
like...
My other big hero of the Paralympics so far is Iranian sitting volleyball star Morteza Mezad Selakjani, he's the second tallest man in the world. He's 8 foot tall. And George and I were just watching some clips of him in action.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the star of the team. It won't surprise you to hear.
Yeah, it takes you a second to be like, oh wait, there he is.
Yeah.
There he is. That's
because
it.
when you're sitting down, it isn't as obvious. But then when he goes up to spike a ball, obviously his reach is just like insane.
Yeah, but even just his frame is like, he's just an absolute a wardrobe in the middle of that. We were saying the sport looks really fun. I'd love to give it a go.
Yeah, although preferably not against Morteza because he would boss me. I feel
He's
like I'm getting spiked in the face a lot.
Yeah, it's like his wingspan as well. His reach was just otherworldly, wasn't it?
It's mental. 8 feet. And so actually in the Olympic Village, he hasn't been able to fit into his bed because the bed's too small. So he's been sleeping on the floor as well. I mean, he's a 2-time gold medalist, so he's obviously like hard as fuck. But still, it's not ideal preparation.
No, you think they would have preempted his arrival.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
quite...
he mentioned it, I think, in quite a sort of modest way. And then his coach did a big interview about it. And they've dispatched someone to IKEA in the 45th arrondissement and they've got him a bigger bed. I don't know where you get that massive bed from. It's 2.5 meters.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was. I do recommend watching that clip because it was quite something.
Yeah, absolute hero. Anyway, send us in any other Paralympic heroes you see because we're loving it.
Shout outs quickly to Lauren Rowles, who's 3-time gold medalist in the mixed scull rowing event, first person to do back-to-back golds.
Aren't you mates or something?
We did a podcast with her, yeah, but I mean she's
favoritism. See, I'm just rooting for Morteza on merit.
There was more merit than 3 gold medals.
Well done with your fucking 3 medals. back to back. That's mental.
Back to back. Yeah.
How old is she?
Our age, like late 20s, I think.
So could she do a back to back?
Very feasibly, yeah.
She's done the 3-peat. I hate the phrase 3-peat, but for Lauren, we'll allow it.
Yeah, she also had a really sick look. She was wearing these mad like Oakley wraparound shades with a sort of Frodo Baggins mullet. Looked like a rave at the Shire. She looked so cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, stick that in your pipe, Steve Redgrave. It is, of course, the international break this weekend. Actually, for once, kind of an interesting game. England versus Republic of Ireland. You know, it's a couple of old foes. And Lee Carsley is beginning his era as England manager. He obviously played for Ireland, so there's nice dimension there. And actually, did you know that Republic of Ireland have got a new manager too? Jaime Hallgrímsson, who was the manager of Iceland when they beat England at Euro 2016.
Wow, the man who slipped on the Roy and Ray's radar.
Yeah.
The Roy and Radar.
Yeah, the Roy radar was busy focused on the Louvre, on a Seine boat cruise, while Jaime was plotting their downfall. So there's a bit of added bite there. Plus, you've got the Grealish-Rice dynamic.
Yeah.
It's 2 players who represented Ireland and defected to England.
Yeah, it's going to be a tasty one.
Apparently, Shay Given has texted them, don't know how he got their number, telling them that they're in for a lot of nasty treatment from the crowd.
Did he text it from an unknown number? It's the sort of thing I imagine he got like Shay Given getting anonymous newspaper cuttings and spelling out this threatening and slipping it under their door.
Dead Saturday. It's probably the most lively thing I've heard of Shay Given doing, to be honest. He seems like quite a sort of
gentle character.
Temperate character. Anyway, Lee Carsley, apparently it's going to be quite different to Southgate because apparently he plays like really fluid attacking high-risk football.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Have you heard that? I mean, like they beat Serbia 9-1, the under-21s.
Yeah, I know that our under-21s are something else. They're doing incredibly well, but yeah, so I guess proof will be in the pudding.
There's some excitement. Although one person who's yet to climb aboard good ship Carsley is Ben White, who is still refusing to play for England.
Still in exile.
It was weird, 'cause so he walked away during the Qatar World Cup, mid-tournament, and everyone was like, oh, what's going on there? Is he off to Turkey for a semi-permanent pajazzle and a quick coat of bronzing? But the rumour actually that came out at the time was that he had a row with Steve Holland, Southgate's assistant manager.
Yeah.
And supposedly what happened is that Holland did a big team meeting with the defenders and he asked Ben a question, a sort of tactical question, like, how do you do it at Arsenal? And Ben White said, don't know. And Steve Holland replied, of course you wouldn't know. You're too worried about other things than football, which apparently was a jibe about how Ben White says he doesn't watch football.
Yeah.
He said, like, I'd never sit down and watch a game.
Yeah. I mean, I like it when footballers admit that they don't like football. Ben Wasser-Kotu famously hated football. Ben White is just like, yeah, I'm not fussed. He is a real enigma, is Ben White, isn't he? There are no other footballers, even though he looks like if you were doing a comedy series about footballers, what footballers would be portrayed to look like. Although in reality, not many footballers do actually look like him.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty boy.
Yeah, well, there's not even that. It's just like he's like preened to within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that about him that can't be more preened or more like enhanced. He's just very, I don't know, metro.
Luke, who's working with us today on the newsletter, told me that Ben White applied for Love Island. But
I mean, he seems like the type.
I don't know if that's true. I thought now Ben White be back in the England fold, just adding to the enigma thing. So Steve Holland's gone, Southgate's gone.
Yeah.
And yet he has turned down a spot in the squad this time as well with Carsley.
Interesting.
I mean, like, obviously Nations League isn't quite the same as the World Cup, but you think...
Yeah. What's your reaction to it? Do you feel like he should be representing his country? Do you feel like it's within your right to decline a spot?
Do I think he's disrespecting the flag?
Yeah.
No, I think you can decline when you want, and like, it's not that big a deal. It's basically a friendly. Obviously, if you want to play in the World Cup, maybe you need to play in games like this. It's a bit of a shame. I'd like to have him for tournaments, but I don't feel angry with him.
Fair enough.
Some people do, though. So Lauren, the old Arsenal right back, says that if Ben White wants to become the best right back in the world, this is an issue for him. He has to play for England, which makes no logical sense to me.
Is Ben White in the best right back?
No,
in the
but he
world
said if he wants to become one. I don't think he's in the running at the moment.
Yeah. But this is the thing that's holding him back.
And also, I don't think playing against like Finland is going to have any bearing on whether he does get there.
Nah.
Just didn't really understand his point. But to be fair, Lauren's reaction is still more tame than the reaction of another Arsenal legend, Ian Wright, who he went a bit far in 2014. So basically, Harry Redknapp said in 2014 that there were players in his Spurs squad who didn't want to play for England in like friendlies and stuff because they were worried about injuries. And Ian Wright, writing in The Sun, said, the next young player who says he doesn't want to play for England should be ordered to ring the parents of a soldier who has died serving his country in Afghanistan and tell them his reasons.
It's so good. It would also be a very tricky legislation to get through, wouldn't it?
You have a week to complete this task. Also, probably the last that you're grieving your son in Wootton Bassett, and probably the last thing you want is like Jack Wilshere ringing you up and being like, I've got dodgy Achilles, which means I can't handle both Europa League and friendly commitments for England. I'm sure you understand.
Where do you draw the line as well? Does that apply to retirees as well? Has David Seaman got a knock on the door?
Yeah, who retired early?
Scholes, yeah.
Yeah, for me, Scholes should be out facing the bombs and bullets that our troops face in Iraq. Why is he not currently patrolling the Yemeni Straits? Anyway, we'll see. I predict that Ben White will play for England in the next tournament.
You heard it here first.
Completely bollocks. Actually, a nice other minor detail about that England game is that Chris Kirkland, the goalkeeper, has finally been given his cap. I don't know why he didn't get given an England cap. But the reason I mention it is because do you remember that Chris Kirkland's uncle put a bet on him playing for England when he was a teenager?
I do remember that. And I remember the game where he made his debut and they had a cutaway to... Was it his uncle or his dad?
Yeah, I think it was the whole family,
family lumped on. And it cut away to them, and they were all just like enjoying a glass of champagne from a box. It was great.
They didn't get the odds I thought they'd get. I can't remember what they were, but they were like 20-1 instead of like.
Is that it?
I think he was already like quite a hot prospect.
Right, I see. Yeah, they don't make keepers like Chris Kirkland anymore. Like, when was the last keeper who wore a baseball cap in the Premier League? That was what I remember Kirkland for.
Yeah, baseball caps are very of a time.
Yeah,
they sort of petered out in the early.
Yeah,
along with trackies have kind of made a bit of a comeback, haven't they?
A little bit. Fulham used to have a goalkeeper called Karai who used to wear tracksuit bottoms. It does just make keepers look a bit village. That's what I think.
And Chelsea had Dimitri Karine always wore them.
Yeah.
But now when you see keepers wearing them, which happens a bit more now, they're like the sort of sleek, trim ones, whereas back then they were just like your bobbly cotton numbers.
Slazenger. They'd been dug out of the drawer.
They've kind of come back but a bit sexier.
Sort of like cotton with elasticated ankles.
When's the sexy cap coming?
Yeah, I don't know. Or like a sort of Solomon, sort of trendy, sort of skin tight.
I'd like a bandana.
Bandana, that would be cool.
I'd like my keepers a bit more eccentric again.
Yeah, let's start this campaign. Do you remember the Turkish keeper who used to have two black...
Rüstü Reşmer.
Reşmer. That was a look.
Yeah, he had like the Shivnai Chanderpool like anti-glare things under his like tiger print.
Exactly.
Tiger paint.
It was like he was going to war. And then obviously you've got the Hall of Famer Reni Higuita.
Yep. And then you've got the Baldies. You've got Bartez's head being kissed.
Yeah.
Whereas now, Onana, quite eccentric in a sort of like...
Yeah.
I play risky football, but otherwise they're a bit...
Yeah, a bit
cultured.
Route One.
Yeah. Right, I've now got a genuine scoop for you, George, and for our dear listeners. It concerns none other than Upshot favourite Quincy Promes.
He's back.
So you might remember Quincy, we've talked about him a lot this year. He is the Dutch striker. He's got 48 odd caps, I think. And his career kind of came to a halt when he was convicted of cocaine trafficking and stabbing his cousin in the leg in the Netherlands. So he was tried in absence and given 6 years of jail time. The reason he was in absence is he's in exile in Russia, where he's been playing for Spartak Moscow. Anyway, he was having quite a good career at Spartak. He was like one of the league's top scorers. And all he really had to do was stay in Russia and just don't get extradited to the Netherlands. So you think when they went on their pre-season tour to Dubai this summer that Quincy would be on best behaviour. Somehow, though, he became embroiled in a hit-and-run incident. He was driving. I say embroiled. He did one.
He's an absolute chaos magnet, isn't he, old Quincy?
He is. And I think last time we caught up with him, he was banged up in the infamous Al Anwar prison, awaiting extradition, which apparently is they've made it particularly hellish because most of the jail is boiling hot because it's Dubai. It's like 50 degrees, except for your cell, which is really aggressive air conditioning, and apparently it's ice cold, and you're in there with 20 others. And apparently the air conditioning is very noisy, so fairly miserable.
Sort of sounds like Middle Eastern Wim Hof method.
Yeah, I don't know how good this one is for your health. Don't try it at home. Anyway, so I think he was sort of settling into a life of, trying to smoke spice through a shisha pipe and drinking hand sanitizer cocktails when we left him last. Since then, Spartak Moscow have ripped up his contract.
Right.
He's stuck in Dubai, and the Netherlands have applied for him to be extradited. So he's stuck in Dubai. Anyway, so it was a bit of a surprise when old Quincy turned up playing in a seven-a-side tournament in Dubai this week. So this story comes from our listener Simon in Dubai, who says, on Saturday, I was playing in an extremely amateur-level seven-a-side tournament, and we got to the final against a company called iSpace. It's an office rentals company. We heard before they had a ringer playing for them that they had sorted a visa for recently. It took 30 seconds of the game to realise who, as he was absolutely class. It was Quincy Promes. We gave him as much shithousery as possible, but he didn't react. Instead, he just kept banging in goals. And actually, iSpace, the Dubai-based office group, posted a photo of Quincy. They've captioned it, former player of Netherlands national football team, played with us today. And iSpace actually won the whole tournament thanks to Quincy's goals. He was just banging them in up front.
On the WhatsApp group, like who's the contact of Quincy Promes there within that?
So I think what's happened is Quincy's obviously got bail in Dubai. I checked, his extradition hearing is still yet to be heard.
Okay.
So there's still a good prospect of him going back to the Netherlands to serve his 6 years for cocaine trafficking. But in the meantime, he's been bailed in Dubai, and I guess he's looking for something to do and has teamed up with an office rental group. You know how like sometimes like ex-rugby players will get like business development roles for city companies where basically they go to like events and like press the flesh with guests.
Yeah,
I think it's like that. Yeah. I don't think he's actually like letting out like 6-man offices.
Or do you think this is like while he's between clubs, he's just trying to keep fit?
Yeah, or just a career change. Oh, you think just the football?
Yeah. A bit like when Owen Hargreaves did those little workout videos to sort of show that he's still got it.
I like the idea that it's a genuine career change and Monday to Friday he's in a suit, like giving people tours of office spaces.
Welcome to our newest member of the team, Quincy Promes.
It's like, as you can see, the kitchen's fully equipped. Just grabs a knife, it's like, only joking. No more stabbing in the leg.
I do love it when football professionals just turn up in like normal five-a-side tournaments. The only other one I could think of was when Ronaldinho got imprisoned in Paraguay and just played for their five-a-side team. And they obviously his team won. And what was the prize?
They won a suckling pig.
Suckling pig.
He banged them in.
Yeah.
It's like. It is a bit like, you know, sometimes you like play five-a-side and someone gets a ringer and they're fucking mental. Like they turn up, don't know anyone, and they're like elbowing in faces, like starting massive scraps. I mean, getting a convicted cocaine trafficker who stabbed his own cousin in. Like, you'd be a bit nervous about getting him involved, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I see the appeal for Quincy. Like, it's a massive upgrade on just like smuggling mobile phones in your bum to curry favour with the prison hard men. But like, what's in it for iSpace? Actually, I know what's in it for iSpace.
You get to win the football.
You get to win. And Simon said they won 10,000 Dubai. Don't know what the currency is. Whatever the money is out there, which is about 300 quid.
Not bad.
Yeah. Anyway, we will bring you future updates of the Quincy Promise.
The adventures of Quincy Promise.
Extradition adventures. I still think long term he's going back to the Netherlands to jail.
You think?
Well, he's not going back to Russia. Do you remember when we talked about him getting done in Dubai originally? There was a rumour that someone in the Russian government at a very high level had intervened. So it's like the hand of Putin had saved Quincy Promes and he was going back to Russia. But then that never happened and Spartak have cut him loose.
I suppose Putin's got bigger things on his mind at the moment. Protecting the Donbass.
Yeah, I think isn't the Donbass a curry? That's
no,
Donbass.
Yeah,
protecting the Danzak.
Because you said curry favour.
Yeah, got it on the brain. Have another sparkling water, a strong one. Anyway, we'll see if Quincy finally makes it back to The Hague. Speaking of long journeys home, Alan Shearer had a nasty trip back from Italy on Saturday night. So he was at a wedding in Perugia and then flew back to Heathrow, I think, where his onward flight to Newcastle was cancelled. So Shearer had to get on a train from King's Cross with all the other schmucks. And normally be in first class, but it was last minute. It was Saturday night. So he was packed on coach C of this train.
Ooh.
And unfortunately for Alan, it was the same night that Sunderland had been smashing Portsmouth in the Championship.
It's an away day train.
And therefore the train was packed with jubilant Sunderland fans.
Oh, man.
And they tucked into some abusive chanting. I'm going to let Shearer tell the story. He told it on the Rest is Football pod this week.
It's getting busier and busier and there's not one seat spare. The whole of the aisle is taken up with Sunderland fans singing, pissed. They've all come in with their bottles of beer and their bags of whatever they've got because there's no service. They're within half an hour. I can't even lift my head up. I'm scared to lift my head up because I'm thinking it's just full of them because they're all in great mood. Their teams won. And they start singing the Newcastle songs. And then they start singing the Shearer songs. Shearer, Alan Shearer, oh, what can it mean to a sad Geordie, whatever it is. And I can't even sing the other song that they were going to sing. I had nearly 4 hours. My neck is killing me today. I couldn't lift my neck up. I had my head down for nearly 4 hours. No. I was petrified. I got all the way to Newcastle and I'm thinking, please, please let them all get off at Durham. Half of them got off at Durham, but half of them stayed on to Newcastle, and I was petrified getting off the station. There was not one person who recognised me. I didn't move at all for nearly 4 hours, and I never got spotted once. And they just sang and abused me for nearly 4 hours. And they didn't even know I was on the train. My friend Peter said to me, "Oh, why don't you go and walk through the middle of them, and ask them if they want a drink?" So my Saturday was sat on a train for 4 hours, on tubes, on Heathrow Express, on flights. It was an absolute nightmare. So for all you Sunderland fans travelling back on Coach C, fuck you!
It's amazing.
It's actually mentally didn't get recognised. Did he say he had a cap on?
Yeah, and he just kept his head down. It's a good question because he said that his mate suggested that he walked through the middle of them and asked if anyone wanted a drink. You're a Newcastle fan, and obviously Newcastle-Sunderland is a fierce rivalry. But in that situation, do you think they just like, "Hey!" and then start singing to him and it's all a bit of a laugh, or do you think genuinely it might have kicked off?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not the most intense member of the of that rivalry, but I think he does it. They're friendly kind of to him initially. It's like, wait, and then he goes and sits back down and it builds up again, and people start yelling stuff and probably a bit of chucking stuff, not like glass, but like.
Yeah, it's
rubbish, and like some people are yelling stuff is a bit out of order. I think half and half,
right?
But I think to his face. Do you know what I mean? Not genuine like violence or anything.
Yeah.
But I was thinking he talked a bit about the songs they were singing, and the one he didn't mention that they always sing is Shearer, wherever you may be, we all laughed when you fucked your knee. Bellamy was right, you're fucking shite, and you won fuck all in the black and white. Good chant.
It is a good chant, yeah.
There's a couple of other ones that are just quite unpleasant.
Did you just watching that clip as well? Do you think that the Upshot podcast would be enhanced or its quality would be reduced by the presence of a Micah Richards-esque figure who just laughs really loudly at everything?
I love him a lot. Sometimes on that pod I think he laughs too much. And I really love him as a pundit and a presenter.
So they're like, just like slapping the chair.
We get quite divided comments on the laugh. We laugh a bit.
Yeah.
We have a giggle. And there was an podcast review on Apple the other day that described it as like Muttley's family Zoom call, which is quite funny. But I guess implying too much laughter. And some people say, "Can you do it drier?" But then other people like it. So
we're just being ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I actually don't think I want any feedback on that.
Yeah, just yeah.
To be fair, Shearer doesn't mind dishing out a bit of public humiliation himself. Last season, Dan Burn there was a game against Luton where he had like an absolute horror show. And probably the last thing he wanted to do that Saturday night was cram his 6'7" frame into a big and tall tuxedo and attend a charity bash. But Dan, the Newcastle defender, had promised to attend Alan Shearer's annual fundraiser, which is, it's a great cause. And, at least Dan could neck some champagne with Sam Fender and nibble on the petty fours. Unfortunately, Alan Shearer wasn't feeling so charitable when he got on the mic and introduced Byrne to the crowd. He said a few words and then he thanked Dan for coming before adding, "Shame he didn't turn up at 3 p.m.
Zing.
And there's my shit Alan Shearer impression.
That's a good joke. It's a good line.
Yeah, it is really funny. Apparently Dan just sort of like bowed his head.
He's a very modest, humble guy.
Yeah, lovely man.
Dan Byrne. I can't imagine him just doing anything other than just taking it on the chin.
Yeah, I always thought Shearer was a boring bastard, mainly because of, when Blackburn won the league and they said, "How are you celebrating?" And he said, "Creosoting the fence," which is the most boring answer imaginable.
It's like straight out of the Michael Owen playbook.
Yeah, but maybe he was just sort of taking the piss a bit. I think he's got a bit more humour than that. Now, I thought it was a pretty disappointing end to the transfer window.
Yeah, it ended in a bit of a whimper. There were some strange goings on, like towards the end of the window.
What, Sancho and Sterling?
Sancho and Sterling, right? Which I was talking to our producer Yaz about. It's like it was the sort of dynamic of kids swapping match attacks in the playground. Like that was the vibe. It's like that's not a thing. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then obviously, some weird. I think like Chelsea were trying to go in for a number of players, but then they were obviously just like took one look at what was going on and was like, no, we don't want.
Yeah, I thought they were going to add Victor Osimhen to their 2025-26 reserve squad, but he's gone to Galatasaray on loan apparently.
Crazy,
weird.
Yeah.
And then Newcastle didn't get Mark Gahey, which I thought was going to be like the big late deal.
Yeah, but I guess like Palace didn't, without wanting to venture too much into football, Palace had their funds topped up and they didn't need to sell him, But
yeah, or maybe Newcastle just needed to draft in a seasoned negotiator like Gordon Brown.
Where are we going with this?
We're going back, is where we're going, mate. We're going, the year's 2006.
Right.
We're in the dying moments of transfer deadline day. So it's night time, it's the dead of night. And the then Chancellor of the Exchequer, Gordon Brown, is holed up in a Ford Fiesta in a car park in Kirkcaldy, having an animated conversation with Rangers defender Marvin Andrews.
What?
So it turns out that Gordon Brown was thrashing out Marvin's move to Gordon's beloved Wraith Rovers. So Gordon's like a massive Wraith Rovers fan, he's season ticket holder, and they were trying to get this Marvin Andrews deal over the line. It was quite exciting. He was at Rangers for a while, Trinidadian defender, and apparently they just couldn't get the deal done, so they got Gordon Brown in.
Oh, my.
And he just drove up to the ground in the car park, met Marvin. And apparently there was this one sticking point that Marvin wanted some community projects. And so I guess Gordon Brown, Labour Chancellor, is actually quite a believable guy to get in. And apparently he was there in the dead of night. And anyway, the next day, Brown's aides confronted him with a story. They were like, the press have got a hold of this thing that you were like negotiating transfers. And apparently he just replies, have they got photos?
He's anticipating an earful from Alistair Campbell any minute now.
Love it though.
Wow.
Yeah.
You think you'd have bigger fish to fry
Well,
in
yeah.
2000 and, did you say 2007?
2006, it's sort of...
He's about to become Prime Minister.
Yeah, but I think anything before 2008, you're just like, yeah, it was easy era.
Yeah. I mean, like, the invasion of Iraq.
Yeah, you had some stuff on, sure, but you have got to get Marvin Andrews, and the window's about to slam shut.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of that, just like celebrity negotiators.
Yeah, who are the politicians that claim to support football teams? So you got Sunak's a Southampton fan, supposedly.
Yeah, I think he actually is. Whereas David Cameron used to say Aston Villa, and then he accidentally said West Ham, and everyone's like, you literally don't support a football team, do you?
Yeah, I love it when politicians accidentally show themselves up for just being massively out of touch. We were saying at the office earlier that, do you remember when John Prescott, when asked what music he liked, responded with the Scissors Sisters? It's like, you dick.
Yeah, it's like Alan Partridge being asked his favourite Beatles album, and he says, I'd have to say the best of the Beatles. Also, can't let the opportunities go by without mentioning Peter Mandelson in the fish and chip shop. And he was ordering, and he goes, oh, and I'll have some of that. Is that guacamole? And points at the mushy peas.
My God.
Side point on the transfer window, Chelsea also gave a 9-year contract to Nicholas Jackson, which means that they now have 16 players who are contracted past 2030.
How can that be good business?
Yeah, I'm starting to think it's so crazy that they must know what they're doing.
I guess it effectively means that they're unpoachable unless somebody comes in with a mass. But that whole system kind of hinges on the fact that you actually buy
good players, yeah, because otherwise you're just trying to get rid of them and you can't. And finally, forget Man United, Liverpool, forget England, Republic of Ireland. There is only one big sporting contest that matters this week, and that was the hot dog eating competition between Takeru Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut. So we've talked about these two before. They are the two gods of the hot dog eating world. So you've got, first of all, Kobayashi. He's 9 stone, Japanese nutcase. Kobayashi revolutionised hot dog eating in 2001 when he rocked up and ate 50 hot dogs in 12 minutes, which was doubling the previous world record. And he went on to break the record 3 more times, I think. His method, which was pioneering at the time, was to dunk the hot dog in water before eating it. And then he also relied on something called the Kobayashi shake, where he would wiggle his stomach to encourage digestion. And everyone thought he was mental and also so tiny, but this became orthodox in the sport.
Like the Fosbury before him.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Fosbury flop. And
hot dog eating.
Of hot dog eating. Anyway, he dominated it until Joey Chestnut arrived on the scene. Joey adopted a lot of Kobayashi's methods and pretty soon gained the ascendancy. In 2007, he beat him. And by 2009, Kobayashi had been banned from the sport over a contract dispute. I think we talked about this before.
Who's contracting?
Yeah, mate, it's big business. The rough and tumble world. It's full of ghouls.
I'm really intrigued to learn more about how this sport is run. Is there the equivalent of the FA?
So there's Major League Eating, and then there's Nathan's Hot Dog Championship, which is the big contest in Coney Island every year. I think it's It's either on Independence Day or Labour Day. Independence Day. And that's like sort of like the Wimbledon of it, if you like, the Olympic moment. And those guys wanted to, Kobayashi says they wanted to control him and he wanted to fight it. The following year, he turned up to protest and ended up getting arrested and dragged away. There's a good clip of it, which I'll link to. Anyway, so that's Kobayashi. And then in the blue corner, you've got Joey Chestnut, who obviously took over from him, broke his world record and then won it 14 times. So he's more successful, even if he's less pioneering. He set the world record of 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. A bit of an American hero as well. So in 2022, during the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, mid-competition, a protester came on stage and Joey got him in a chokehold and carried on eating and still won. He's a hard fucker. All-American hero. Anyway, Joey has now fallen out with the hot dog eating powers that be as well. Fallen out with Big Bun. It's got to be Big Wiener, actually, hasn't it? He's fallen out with Big Wiener because he did an ad deal with Impossible Foods, who make vegan hot dogs. And Major League Eating was so disgusted by this, they booed him out.
Because of the vegan.
Yeah, I mean, fucking vegan sausages at Nathan's hot dog eating.
So American, isn't it?
Anyway, so this raised the tantalising possibility that these two outcasts would come together and face off for the first time since, I think, 2010. And Netflix made it happen this week. So they had a Netflix special broadcast live called Unfinished Beef. Because I get the hot dogs are made of beef in America often.
Are they? Is that,
yeah, it's a kosher thing, I think. $100,000 prize. Interestingly, they weren't allowed to dunk the hot dogs in water. So you're allowed to sit but no dunk, which I don't know if that's new rule everywhere.
Yeah, but sure. I find obviously hot dog eating is an absurd concept. Applying such rigorous rules around it, there's something inherently very funny about that.
Yeah. Also, I love the idea that before Kobayashi turned up and was dunking the hot dogs, everyone was just forcing these dry, like maybe you get a bit of mustard or something.
Raw dogging it.
Yeah, just raw dogging. Yeah.
Raw dogging the dog.
The dog. Anyway, maybe the no dunking rule explains why Joey absolutely trounced Kobayashi. So it was 86 dogs to 66. 86 is a new world record from Joey. It's quite surprising because there was no dunking. Joey said after, I've been trying to hit 80 dogs for years and without Kobayashi I was never able to. He drives me. So you've got this amazing like rivalry symbiotic thing.
Like Messi Ronaldo.
Yeah. There's a bit of footage here of the contest we can watch.
Joey Chestnut shattered his own world record in Netflix's Unfinished
I can't even look at
contest.
this.
You can't. It's gross.
So
Chestnut
gross.
ate 83 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes.
Oh.
His previous record was 76. He, of course, beat longtime rival Takeru Kobayashi, who ate 66 hot dogs. Still a lot, but I mean, Joey Chestnut, he's the GOAT, man.
In fairness to Kobayashi, he's a bit rusty. He's been retired for a while. And also he said that he had a serious jaw injury sustained in training. I'm picturing that he's just like got some pipe down his gullet and he's being force-fed wieners to stretch it out or
like
something.
A frog wild goose.
Yeah.
It screams of when Tyson Fury got that cut during sparring so that it had to be delayed, or perhaps when David Haye broke his toe before...
Although Kobayashi did step up and do it.
Yeah.
He's just got an excuse.
I mean, Netflix millions will do that, won't they?
Yeah, $100,000. I was actually looking into it to understand how they train. So here's an insight. So Joey Chestnut has a thicker set neck than most other eaters that he faces, but that's not genetic. He trains it. He works the tiny muscles in his jaws and throat to comply as he ushers untold pounds of frankfurters and water-sodden buns down. One exercise entails Chestnut lifting his head back and forth, wearing a gum guard with an attachment holding a bag filled with weights. It's fucking mental. But he's all nurture over nature. Like, he's not about natural talent.
He's committed to his craft.
Yeah. And then I was wondering, do you think, quiz for you, A, does he eat loads in the build-up, or B, does he eat very little?
My guess would be a lot to expand his stomach.
That's what I thought.
And so therefore make more room.
Wrong. He does 2 days before a competition, he's only drinking water, lemon juice and coffee. So I thought he'd be stretching.
So I guess his tactic is to make himself hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, simple when
So
you put it like that.
He's ravenous.
I'm hungry. Hunger is the secret ingredient.
It's just like all of these mental techniques to
Yeah.
sort of like. I'd love to. In my mind, he's got this sort of charismatic trainer. Like, like Rocky's trainer is like, "Okay, kid, come on," and they're like doing this sort of montage of all these sort of Wallace and Gromit-esque contraptions to try.
Just forcing him
It's
down.
like, right, so that technique didn't work. We
Yeah.
go back to the drawing board.
I think I prefer Kobayashi because his genius is like that he spotted a kind of like a way to pioneer the method. So he's like, I guess he's a bit more of a natural talent guy.
He's the Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Joey Chestnut's just like the modern, like the Djokovic.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a Federer Djokovic thing. However, Joey Chestnut holds 56 eating records. It's not just hot dogs. It's everything: asparagus spears, Pizza Hut, tacos, tamales, pastrami, Twinkies, the chocolate bar, 121 Twinkies in 6 minutes, fish tacos, whole turkeys.
Whole turkeys.
Ate 4 kilo whole turkey in 10 minutes.
That is-
Boysenberry, gumbo, gyros. I mean, donuts. It goes on. Mutton sandwiches. 81 mutton sandwiches in 10 minutes.
Is he just trying to tick off? Like, you could just go on indefinitely with every food stuff.
This one doesn't seem that
He
good.
wants to have the most world record?
32 Big Macs in 38 minutes. I feel like I could do that. No?
Oh. Well, we were looking for some fresh ideas for social media content. I think we've just stumbled.
Give me
upon-
that Turkish sparkling water and 32 Big Macs and watch me go, baby.
You'd literally explode. It'd be a horrible scene. Yeah, I like these challenges that you're setting yourself on this podcast. You're doing the keep up 4 minutes. What was the running one?
I'm going to do a minute and a half over 20 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm going to do 500 metres at 20 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm going to eat 32 Big Macs and
38 minutes.
and a stiff 150 millilitres of Turkish sparkling water. Have that, Joey Chestnut. What do you think you'd be good at competitive eating? Like, what would you be your best food?
I got a theory. It's not a theory; it's a fact. I've never ever filled up on crisps. I've never
crisps.
reached the point where I'm like, that's enough crisps for me. So
I was thinking crisps.
I've had enough.
I
Crisps.
reckon Kobayashi would get the bag, pour water into the bag, shake it around so it's just a mush, and then just get handfuls in.
Well, Bob Mortimer famously makes mashed potato by mashing up packets of Walker's Ready salted crisps. So he would adopt the Bob Mortimer method.
That
Yeah.
actually sounds pretty good.
He says it's delicious. Yeah. He
So you're having that with that, and then the bangers are just like cocktail sausages.
No wonder he had a heart attack.
Microwave cocktail sausages. Bangers and mash. How's he making the gravy?
I don't want to know.
Marmite and hot water.
Bofferel.
Yeah, Bofferel.
Oh,
I think
love
crisps I
Bob.
back myself with that method. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
canned sardines. Zach and I eat them a lot in the office.
Oh yeah, as we can smell.
Mainly because most people are too disgusted to eat
To
enough
attempt
of them.
it.
Yeah, it's not an endurance thing.
I reckon I could do gherkins as well.
Ooh, do you?
Pickles, yeah.
Surely,
Like jars of pickles.
what, you just literally just chuck it down?
Well, I'm applying rules to a made up event that I've literally just thought of now. But I imagine you have to consume the entire jar.
Yeah,
uniform jar with the
vinegar
juice
or
as
whatever
well.
it is, juice, yeah.
I know. It's quite a grim prospect, but I reckon I'd be quite good at that.
Yeah.
I do love them.
All right, we'll have a little
I
taste.
mean,
of next
imagine
week.
your heartburn.
Yeah, that'd be
afterwards.
heartburn, wouldn't it? They all would be. Joey Chestnut said he feels like death for 2 days after. You have like a hangover.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was sweating bullets in that after
It's
that
weird.
video.
Neither of them are particularly big, though. I guess, I don't know. It's mental. George, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, always a pleasure.
I should say Zach's away. We didn't even mention the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
he's at Bitches Brew Festival in New Orleans.
Imagine if he just wasn't on this and then never was again and we never mentioned what happened. No, Zach is on holiday at some sort of,
Is that a jazz fest?
Yeah, Jazz Fest, as always.
Yeah, as always.
So Zach's away, and he will be next week as well. So thanks, George. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Good.